What's good, y'all? It's your boy HB with Final Round. I want to talk about Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder being postponed. I am bummed out about this shit, man. And a little disappointed. I guess that's kind of ridiculous for me to say, right? But a little disappointed. I mean, who am I, right? Why would he even give a fuck what I say or anybody? But it's just the fact that for me, I've been fucking tooting fucking Tyson Fury's horn. You know, big supporter, trying to convince people that Deontay Wilder legitimately got his ass whooped against Tyson Fury. And it wasn't because he was cheating. It wasn't because his gloves were loaded or his trainer spiked his drink or anything like that, or voodoo, whatever Deontay Wilder was claiming. It was simple. He's just a better boxer. When you have better technique and better skills and you're talented as well, you know, you're going to be damn near almost impossible to beat. And Deontay Wilder, you know, he's got some skills, but he's not a technical fighter. He's not a strategic fighter on a high level. And he's not the most fundamentally sound fighter as well. So, you know, he goes up against Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury makes adjustments for the second fight. And even the first fight, you know, you can make an argument that Tyson Fury won. But, you know, the second fight, he makes extraordinary adjustments, intelligent adjustments, and he dominates. That's what a great boxer, a great fighter does. You know, and that's why Deontay Wilder lost. You know, he didn't lose because any other reasons, but because Tyson Fury has backed out of this fight, it makes him look very suspect. And at the end of the day, it is postponed, you know. Hopefully it's not going to get canceled or Tyson Fury backs out completely. But look, man, there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes that we just don't know. We just don't know. Maybe there's a business aspect to it. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe he legitimately got COVID, even though he supposedly got vaccinated. You know, we just don't know. But it surely does make him look a little suspect. I'll say that. But at the end of the day, if this fight does happen, if it goes through, I'm sorry, y'all. Tyson Fury is going to dominate. He's going to win. Now, I will say this, Deontay Wilder will have an opportunity to train a little bit longer. If I'm Deontay Wilder, or if I'm a fan of his, this is actually kind of good news, because although he is making adjustments, it seems like he's consciously trying to make an adjustment for this fight by switching his trainer, and you see him on the mitts, even though it's just the fucking mitts. Let's not get carried away here. But when you do see him on the mitts, it looks like he's utilizing more footwork. He's going in and out, you know, moving his head, throwing combinations, utilizing his jab, working on his defense. So that's a good sign. And it shows that, okay, I know I need to make some technical adjustments. I know I need to be a little bit more strategic and technical because I'm facing a great fighter. And that's the funny thing about all this. Everybody, I hate that we're looking at this through the lens of race. I really do. But unfortunately, the black community, and considering I'm black, we're looking at it through that lens. And we're looking at it as if Tyson Fury cheated. And we're looking at it as if, you know, it's kind of validating the suspicion for the people that support Deontay Wilder, especially strictly based off of race. A lot of people, red flags are going off in their head. Oh, Tyson Fury doesn't want to have the fight because he can't cheat this time, and he's making excuses. And look, we can't completely throw that out. That there could be a chance. That is true, but I don't think it is the case. And I'm just telling you now, if there's a third fight, Deontay Wilder will lose. The good news is he's going to have a little bit more time to prepare, you know, adjust to his new style, maybe even get a fight or two in before he takes a rematch with Tyson Fury. That's good, man. That's good news, because it takes time to ingrain that in your mind and your muscle memory. That doesn't happen overnight. If Deontay Wilder took this fight off rip, it wouldn't be good for him, man, if he's trying to implement a new style. But I hear all, the black community and Deontay Wilder supporters saying, oh, well, this validates what we were saying all along. But let me feed you this. Deontay Wilder looks like he's training differently. He's making adjustments, right? Whether it's going to work or not, we all have no idea if it's going to work or not. We just know that he's making adjustments. That speaks volumes. And why? It speaks volumes because it shows he sees there's holes in his game. He sees he got exposed. He sees, in order to beat this guy, I got to do something different. He has to do something different. If this was all just cheating, why make adjustments? Why make strategic adjustments if it was just based off of gloves being loaded? Because, I mean, if we make sure that his wraps aren't fucking fixed and we make sure your drink isn't spiked, then why do you need to do anything to change Deontay Wilder? So, to me, that's actually a red flag. Like, how are y'all going to sit here and say that Deontay Wilder, this is all solely based off of cheating, and that the only reason Tyson Fury won is because he cheated? Okay, if that's the only reason Tyson Fury won was based off of cheating, why make adjustments? Because you can go in the fight and the wraps aren't going to be fucking fixed, the drinks aren't going to be spiked, the ref ain't going to be against you, or whatever the case is. And, you do your thing and you knock him out. But clearly, Deontay Wilder is worried that he is not where he needs to be, technically speaking. So, and he needs to come to grips with that and accept that. And I think it's there. He's somewhat conscious of it. But, you got to think, Deontay Wilder's been so fucking dominant throughout his career. He's an extraordinarily talented athlete and talented boxer, and he has the right hand of God. You know what I'm saying? He has that gift of power, and he's relied upon that his whole career, and he's been dominant. And he finally came up against a guy that challenged him and wasn't afraid of him and didn't let him bully him. And even with the first fight where Tyson Fury decided, I'm going to box off the back foot and pick my spots, he still, even though he got knocked down twice, you can make an argument, he won. He flatlined him in the last round, and he got up and won the round. Deontay Wilder, that's scary for him. And then he comes in the second fight and gets completely owned and sunned and demolished. And I think for Deontay Wilder, he's having a hard time coming to grips with that. So he's making excuses. And understandably so. And you've been so dominant, and nobody's even giving you, with the exception of maybe one or two opponents gave you, like Luis Ortiz gave you kind of a good challenge. He hasn't faced anybody like Tyson Fury. And, I think it's hard for him to process that. You look at Tyson Fury, he's not the marketable type fighter like Anthony Joshua, right? But he is talented. He's very tall. He's very rangy. He moves like he better than some lightweights, right? But he's the complete package with the exception of the looks. But who gives a fuck about looks? Looks never meant anything in boxing. We've seen muscle guys like Holyfield who are just jacked be successful. We see skinny guys like Tommy Hearns, short guys like Mike Tyson. It doesn't matter what you look like, man. It just, are you a good fighter? And but I think for Deontay Wilder, he's a little bit ignorant when it comes to the sweet science. He's always had the gift that to rely on his talent and his God-given power. So he's never really had to develop as a boxer and study the sport. And look, understandably so. I mean, if he can go in there and just fucking floor people with a punch and have extraordinary range and kind of keep your distance without having to worry about any sort of countering or reaction from your opponent, why develop, right? And that's the story of a lot of talented athletes. They never, the extraordinarily gifted ones, sometimes they never really develop technically and skillfully. But the ones that do, like Jordan, Kobe, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, guys like that, they're talented and they work hard and they perfect their craft. They study their science. That's when you get greats. But Deontay Wilder's great in a sense, but he's not on that mecca, that top tier level of extraordinary greatest of all time athletes, because he hasn't perfected his craft. But he'll get a chance to. He has a little bit more time to train and study the game. I don't think he's gonna be able to do it. You just don't pick that up overnight. But I truly believe that Deontay Wilder genuinely believes that Tyson Fury cheated, because he cannot comprehend that he lost to this fat Englishman. He can't. You know what I'm saying? I believe and that's part of the reason why I think he wore his headphones throughout the press conference. He probably genuinely believes that Tyson Fury was doing some sort of gypsy voodoo on him. Now, obviously, that's not real. He's just ignorant. He doesn't understand he got outboxed on every level. First of all, he needs to be held accountable. Why are you coming in heavier? A lot of people don't talk about that shit. Like, why did you come in 10, 20 pounds heavier than you usually do? I mean, imagine if you go to the gym every day, right? And then all of a sudden you put on a 20-pound vest. You're going to be a little bit sluggish, maybe significantly more sluggish. And then think about doing a sport where there's lots of cardio involved and dynamic movements, and you put a 20-pound vest on and you're not used to it. It's going to wear your ass out. 2, then you came in with a fucking body armored suit that apparently weighed like 20 pounds. That was your fault. Nobody told you to put that vest on. Nobody told you to put that mask and that body armor on for show. Second off, Tyson Fury came in heavier, but he's used to carrying that weight. The motherfucker's used to walking around at like 300 pounds. So he may come in a little bit heavier than he usually does when he goes to box, but he's not going to be completely unaccustomed to that. And just before I get into Tyson Fury's aspect, think about this for Deontay Wilder. This is a mistake that a lot of fighters fucking make, man. They always think if I put more weight on, it's going to make me a powerful puncher. It's going to make my punches more powerful. And that's not the case. Conor McGregor made that mistake with Nate Diaz when he went up in weight to take him on. He thought, oh, if I get bigger, I'm going to be more powerful. No, it's going to slow you down. And it's going to make you more, if you're not accustomed to carrying that weight, going into fights, it's going to slow you down. And these guys are ripped. Deontay Wilder, you look at Conor McGregor, these motherfuckers are ripped. They're not carrying fat. That's muscle, which means they're going to need more oxygen to supply that muscle, which means they're going to get fatigued quicker. So Tyson Fury comes in more heavier, but he's accustomed to it. And he says, you know what? I'm not going to run away. I'm going to make this dude fight off his back foot, because he can't fight off his back foot. Every time we get in the clinch, I'm going to lean on him, put my body weight on him, wear him down even more. I'm going to cut the ring off, put pressure on him, stick my jab in his face, mix it up, go down to the body, throw feints, constantly keep him guessing, wear on him mentally as well as physically, put that mental pressure on him as well, which wears on you cardio-wise as well, and I'm going to attack the body. And I'm just going to wear his ass down. I'm going to be the bully. And you add all these fucking things up. Then he also goes to the Kronk gym with Sugar Hill. And he starts developing his power. And now you have the complete package. He's throwing everything at you. And one of the biggest adjustments he made in the second fight, Tyson Fury, was to avoid the right hand instead of kind of lowering his level and bending at the waist and kind of staying stationary and hoping to kind of duck under Deontay Wilder's right hand. Tyson Fury made a brilliant adjustment. He said, you know what? Instead of lowering my level, being the bigger man and taller guy, instead of lowering my level, I'm going to jump out of range, extend my arms to almost create like a fence, right? And gauge the distance. And when Deontay Wilder throws that right hand, I'm going to, jump out of range, keep my distance, and kind of roll with it, right? Because you saw a lot of times Tyson Fury would jump out of range, and then when Deontay Wilder would throw that right hand, he would kind of roll with it. It took a lot of Deontay's power away. It took a lot of steam off the punches. You even heard Deontay Wilder say it himself. He thought it was voodoo that Tyson Fury was using against him because he couldn't throw his right hand. He couldn't figure it out. He was like, for some reason, I couldn't throw my right hand. That's not voodoo, dude. That's because it wasn't there. There was nothing. Tyson Fury was not there. He wasn't going to give you that punch. That's called being defensively sound and responsible, controlling distance. It's not voodoo, okay? Now, I believe he thinks that. That's why he wore his headphones, right? And then on top of that, Tyson Fury's talking shit. He's been talking shit all the way up there. Talking shit before the fight. He talks a good game. So I don't blame Deontay Wilder for wearing headphones at the press conference because, look, we don't know. I think it's a sign of mental weakness. I think he's kind of broken mentally. I think Tyson Fury owns space in his head. But look, man, obviously we'll see if this fight goes through. But if that helps Deontay Wilder focus on the fight and not get manipulated mentally, fair enough. I can't blame him for that. Do I think it's a good sign? No. It shows me he hasn't taken responsibility. It shows a bit of fear. It shows that if he listens to Tyson Fury in any shape or form, that he's gonna lose confidence or he's going to fold mentally and get into his head. That's why he couldn't even answer questions from the press, from the media, because he was scared Tyson Fury was going to speak over him and talk shit. I don't think it was the best move. I don't think it was very professional. I think it shows a broken man mentally. But hey, it could work for him. It might work. And we cannot judge it until the next fight comes. So, look, man, I'm disappointed that Tyson Fury look, like I said, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It could be anything. It could be true. It could be not. It could be a business aspect. We just don't know, right? I would not be shocked if maybe he doesn't feel prepared. Maybe, he came into this camp and he was kind of sluggish. It seems like Tyson Fury's the type of boxer that works hard and he plays hard, right? And that's okay, but sometimes that can kind of catch up to you. He might have been kind of enjoying this last victory, playing very hard, and he got into training camp unprepared, and he's just not in rhythm, and all of a sudden he's like, look, man, although I am a better boxer than Deontay Wilder, he's nothing to sleep on because he has that power. He has that game changer, that thing that'll put you to sleep if you're not careful. And you best believe that this is Deontay Wilder. Even though I do think he's broken mentally, I think he's going for broke this last fight because I think his career ends if he doesn't win this fight, with the exception of maybe he loses on the scorecards or draws. That's fine, right? But if he gets knocked the fuck out or TKO'd, I really think the second fight was the beginning of the end, or maybe the first fight was the beginning of the end for Deontay Wilder. But this third fight with Tyson Fury, if it goes down, this could be the end for him. I don't think he recovers from that. Are there still fights out there if he loses this fight? Sure.